just kiss and say goodbye. There's no me without you. Forever by your side.
All right, buckle up, because we're about to throw it back to 1962 in Jersey City, New Jersey. The stage is set for a story of smooth soul, unforgettable hits, and just the right amount of drama. This is where it all began for the Manhattans, a group that went from local legends to R&B royalty. They had everyone swooning from the 60s straight through the glitter because the Manhattans, they weren't just a group, they were the R&B heartthrobs who disco-drenched 80s. Like, if your mama had a slow dance song back in the day, chances are it was one of theirs. So grab your popcorn and get ready, because this ride through music history is about to get soulfully juicy. All fresh out of the military, full of charm, and ready to set hearts on fire with those silky voices, we have George Smitty Smith, Edward Sonny Bivens, Winfred Blue Lovett, Kenny Wally Kelly, and Richard Ricky Taylor. Like, imagine forming a group after serving your country and then going on to serve soul realness? Here's the cute part. Bivens, Lovett, and Kelly were all Lincoln High School grads, while Smith and Taylor repped Snyder High. A little hometown rivalry? Maybe, but once they linked up post-discharge, it was all harmony. Literally. They had that doo-wop meets destiny energy. And baby, the rest is music history. From military boots to matching suits. That's the kind of glow-up we live for. Their 1976 smash hit Kiss and Say Goodbye, total heartbreak anthem. It went #1, sold millions, and had couples everywhere crying in their bell-bottoms. The Manhattans were already brushing shoulders with the pop elite at the American Music Awards. They snagged a nomination for Favorite Pop Rock Song with their steamy hit Kiss and Say Goodbye. Pop, rock, R&B, these boys were genre-jumping and still making it look effortless. And just when you thought they were done, boom! Shining Star had people falling in love all over again under those disco lights. They snatched a Grammy. Yep, a whole Grammy. And not just any Grammy, people. We're talking Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with vocal for that glittery comeback anthem, Shining Star. But wait, the receipts? Fully stacked. We're talking 45 hits on the Billboard R&B chart. Yes, 45. 12 of them in the top 10, and 16 that even crossed over to the Hot 100. Like, they weren't just big, they were everywhere. And those albums? 8 of them hit the R&B top 20, and 3 went gold. Certified legends. Grab a tissue and brace yourself, because this part of the Manhattan story is where the glamour takes a tragic turn. So late in 1970, just as things were really heating up for the group, George Smitty Smith, their powerhouse lead singer, fell seriously ill. And let's be clear, Smitty was the voice. That raw emotion, that smooth delivery, songs like I'm the One Love Forgot, total tearjerkers that helped define the Manhattans' early sound. His presence wasn't just important, it was everything. But here's where the heartbreak hits full force. Just 12 days before his 31st birthday, Smitty passed away from a brain tumor. Absolutely devastating. His loss was not just tragic, it left a permanent ache in the group's heart and sound. It was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. But Smitty, he was the kind of talent you never really replace. But with Smitty unable to perform, the group was forced into the heartbreaking position of finding a new lead. First, they tried to sweet-talk Lee Williams from the Symbols. Total talent, total no-go. Lee wasn't about to leave his group no matter how fab the offer. Then, plot twist, they circled back to Gerald Alston, a silky-voiced guy they met during their college tour days. This time, Gerald said yes, and just like that, a new era was born. Cue the slow jams and light a candle, because things got real smooth real fast. With Gerald Alston now front and center with those dreamy lead vocals, finally, the group didn't just survive the 70s, they thrived. The Manhattans dropped a total heart melter. In 1973, There's No Me Without You. And let's just say, that song had people clutching their chests and sending mixtapes to their crushes. It was the kind of soulful perfection that made you believe in love again, or at least in a little well-timed romantic drama. And guess what? It exploded. We're talking #1 on both the Billboard Pop and R&B charts. They didn't just chart, they cleared the charts. But here's the juicy little tidbit. It also became only the second single ever to go platinum, right after the RIAA even invented the certification. Like, excuse me? Trendsetters much? The Manhattans weren't just singing about heartbreak. They were out here making history while doing it. Legends only. When you thought they had nothing left in the tank, boom. The Manhattans pulled up in 1983 like, surprise, we've still got the magic, and dropped Forever by Your Side under Columbia Records. And this album? Dripping in romance and slow jam realness. Let me tell you, this album wasn't just music. It was pure romance in vinyl form. The kind you play when you're in your feelings with the lights low and your heart wide open. But wait, it gets juicier. The title track, Forever by Your Side, was a bit of a sleeper in the US, peaked at number 30, cute but not iconic, until it got snatched up by a Brazilian soap opera in 1985, and boom, it became a full-blown romantic anthem in Brazil. Like, we're talking candlelit dinner, long stares, telenovela-level drama kind of anthem. The obsession ran so deep, they even released a Portuguese version, Pra Sempre Vou Te Amar. And yes, it was a whole mood. Brazilian artists lined up to cover it because nothing says I love you like a borrowed Manhattan ballad. And you better believe slow dancers everywhere were living their best love story in dimly lit living rooms. The harmonies were still smooth as butter. Obviously, this is the Manhattans we're talking about. But come on now, would it really be a Manhattans era without a lil shakeup? You already know the drama had to step in wearing heels. So boom, 1,988 hits, and Gerald Alston goes full Beyonce like, I'm going solo, babes, and off he struts into a solo career. And spoiler alert, he ate hits, honey. Late 80s and early 90s. He was that guy, with Motown backing him like, let him cook. But don't worry, the group wasn't about to fade into the background. Nope, they pulled a classic switcheroo and brought in Roger Harris. New voice, new vibe, definitely ready to stir the pot like it was his grandma's gumbo. And just as their Columbia Records chapter was wrapping up with a dramatic little bow, they spun on over to Valley View like, new label, who dis? A whole rebrand moment. Reinvention? Served? Mic? Dropped. The Manhattans were serving everything. We're talking longevity, reinvention, fresh new voices, international slow jam romances, Whitney Houston covers, yes, that Whitney, anniversary glow-ups, and just the perfect sprinkle of drama. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't a sprinkle, it was a whole pot of juicy, piping hot soap opera realness. Like doo-wop meets Days of Our Lives. Post-80s? Buckle up, boo, because things got messy. We're talking lineup shakeups left and right. It was giving musical chairs with microphones. 1 minute you blink and there's two Manhattans both saying, we're the real ones. It was like an R&B version of a Spider-Man meme. Fans were confused, promoters were sweating, and the tea was scalding. But somehow, even with all the drama and high notes flying around, they kept the soul smooth and the harmonies tighter than your auntie's wig at a wedding. Iconic behavior. Slide into the 2000s and grab the popcorn. Because, whew, the Manhattans gave us a full-on R&B split that was juicier than a soap opera finale. That's right, not one, but two Manhattans out here living their best legendary lives. And honestly, it was giving double the soul, double the drama. On one side, you had Bivens' squad, aka the Hustle Kings, with Hardy, Hemphill, Pazant, and Lee Williams, who later handed the mic over to Kenny Jackson in 2015 like it was the R&B Olympics. These guys were doing it all, dropping albums like Manhattans Now, starting their own music company, CEO Energy, moonlighting in theater productions, yes, Broadway adjacent, Baby, and still hitting stages in 2018 like, we still got it. And honestly, they did. Meanwhile, across the soulful battlefield, Blue Lovett and the velvety-throated Gerald Alston said, not so fast, and formed their own fabulous faction. They kept it classy with PBS specials, because, of course, glam tours across the US, and smooth albums like Even Now. If Bivens' crew was giving hustle and stage flair, this group was all elegance and grown folk romance vibes. 2 Manhattans, 1 crown, and a legacy big enough for all the high notes. It was the ultimate R&B face-off, and let's be real, the fans thriving. Then came the heartache because the losses hit hard. One by one, we started saying goodbye to the legends. First, Sonny Bivens passed in 2014, the backbone, the songwriter, the ride or die since day one. And just days later, Blue Lovett followed him, taking that deep, iconic bass with him and leaving fans in tears. Then, Kenny Wally Kelly, the very last of the original lineup, also left us a year later. The heartbreak just kept coming, and 3 years ago, David Tyson, part of Gerald Alston's Manhattans, passed away too. But through it all, one voice remains, Gerald Alston. The last man standing from the golden days, still shining, still singing, and still carrying that legacy like the true king he is. The Manhattans gave us romance, soul, twists, turns, and double the drama. Truly a group that stayed in formation even through the storm. And dear, that's how legends do it. Timeless voices, legendary drama, and harmonies that could heal a heartbreak or stir one up. From street corners in Jersey City to Grammy wins, international romance, soap opera-worthy shakeups, and 2 versions of the same iconic group battling it out with ballads? They didn't just survive the decades, they owned them.